Hello my friends, welcome to Palette Smackdown. Today we're going to be discussing the Anastasia Beverly Hills Modern Renaissance palette and the Violet Voss Holy Grail palette. I'm not sure exactly when this came out, but as soon as it did, everyone was dying over it. People that were sent it for review, people that had done tutorials on it, and then everybody that bought this afterwards seemed to also rave about it. As you can see, it's very warm toned, very fall. You've got lots of berries and oranges, and there's some champagnes and things in here. If you've never heard of Violet Voss, they're an indie brand. I got this actually at, I believe, IMATS. Yes, I got this at IMATS in New York City, and it has a lot of the same kinds of ideas. We've got a lot of berries, a lot of warm tones, champagnes, things like that. When you put them next to each other, you can see lots of similarities. Are they the same? No, but they're very similar. So I figured, hey, let's go ahead and look and see the similarities and differences between these palettes. So let me tell you how this is going to work. I'm going to talk about packaging comparisons, availability comparisons, and then we're going to go into a little demo. I actually have the Anastasia palette on one side and the Holy Grail palette on the other side of my face, and you will be able to, well, my eyes technically, and you'll be able to see me applying both of them to really see how the shades compare. And then after I show you the little demo, I'm going to go into all the geeky, nerdy stuff like value, ingredients, the fact that one is made in China and one is not, cruelty-free options, things like that. So let's talk about availability and packaging first. As of now, everywhere that I tried to find this palette online, it was sold out, but I know that it is available still in a lot of stores, Sephora's, Ulta's, things like that. Currently, the Violet Voss Holy Grail palette is sold out, but it's supposed to be coming back in stock in mid-October, which is not too far away. So I figured, you know, since you can still get this, and you will be able to get this again very, very soon, I thought it would be a good comparison. As far as the packaging goes, the packaging, of course, is quite different. The Modern Renaissance palette has a very soft velvet cover, and this does get dirty. It has been getting dirty for me, and I would imagine it would continue to get dirty as I use it. It is a hard cardboard packaging underneath. You do get a mirror with it. You get 14 shades in here. They are small square pans, and you also get a brush with this. This is the brush that it comes with. It comes with a flat side and a fluffy side. For the whole Holy Grail palette, as you can see, the pans are quite a bit larger. Does not come with a brush, but does have a mirror on that side. The only thing about a mirror in both of these palettes is it doesn't really stand up, so unless you have something to prop it on, it's the mirror isn't really going to stay up, so just kind of keep that in mind. The mirror may not be useful unless, you know, you have something else to help it out to stay up. This is also a cardboard packaging, but of course you don't get the velvet on the outside, but as you can see, it does have lots of smudge prints on there, so if that bothers you, you may not want to get this one either because both of them can get dirty very, very quickly. In this one, you get 20 shadows, so you get quite a bit more as far as shades, and also the pan sizes are larger. So now that we talked a little bit about availability and packaging, let's go into the little demo so you can see how these shadows apply to the eyes. really interesting about applying one palette to one eye and the other palette to the other eye is that the shades definitely were not dupes that I used. They were kind of the closest I could get to duping each other and trying to get them to be the same. But once I put on the rest of my makeup, it was very difficult and still is very difficult to tell the differences between the shadows. So it just kind of goes to show that you can get similar looks with these palettes even though the shades are not identical. You can see some of them were closer than others as far as the shade. And again, the Violet Voss has more options as far as different shadows than the Modern Renaissance. I think sometimes when people try to dupe a palette, you know, they're so concerned about getting the exact same shade when really on the face you're not going to be able to tell the difference. And I think in the end, it's your end look that I think is going to make the biggest difference, not whether you're being so technical as far as it being the exact same tone. Now let's talk a little bit about product value. So I looked up the price per gram. So when you're looking at the Violet Voss Holy Grail palette, we're looking at 36 grams of product altogether, which equals out to $1.17 per gram. And then the Anastasia palette is 7.94 grams, so almost 8 grams, which ends up being $5.25 per gram, which is about 4.5 times more product you get in the Violet Voss Holy Grail than the Modern Renaissance palette, which I thought was kind of crazy. So value-wise, if you're talking dollars per gram, the Violet Voss Holy Grail is definitely a better value. So let's get really geeky here and start talking about some of the ingredients in these palettes. Now, the number one ingredient in the Violet Voss palette is talc, followed by mica. Now, the number one ingredient in the Anastasia Beverly Hills palette is mica, followed by dimethicone. So you've got the pigment, and then you've got a silicone, and then you've got two pigments here. Some people are very sensitive to talc, so if you are sensitive to talc, you are not going to want to purchase this because that is the number one ingredient here. One thing also is that it seems like they have here in the ingredients for the Holy Grail palette, I had to get it off the internet because I don't have the box anymore, but it seems like the shadows have similar ingredients. There's a lot of may or may not include clarifiers for different things as far as like the coloring and some of the ingredients. They don't list them quite as nicely as Anastasia does. Anastasia actually has 11 different formulas, formula combinations within this palette, within the 14 shades. Kind of crazy, right? But of the top 10 ingredients, meaning the ingredients that are in the highest concentration in the shadows, 7 of the 10 ingredients are included in all 11 formulas. So essentially in the base of the product, the majority of the product, you're talking about it's the same ingredients. When they mix them up in the different formulas of the different shadows, sometimes they're in different orders, suggesting different concentrations of different ingredients, but overall, the same ingredients, but in different orders for the different formulas of these shadows, where these seem to be, at least according to the way they've listed it, pretty much the same kind of ingredient throughout the palette. Other ingredients that you may be sensitive to in here include Ethylhexyl palmitate, which is an organic replacement to silicone. I'm reading off my notes here. It can be irritating to sensitive skin, and also it does have parabens, where this does not have parabens. So if you're sensitive to parabens or you are anti-paraben, you would want to go for this one. You would not want to purchase this one. Another thing people were talking about that I want to mention in this video is people were saying that the formula of the Modern Renaissance palette seemed to be so different from previous Anastasia palettes in the past. Now, one thing Anastasia does is when they release a palette like this, they release a certain amount and then it's gone. They don't keep, like Urban Decay's Naked palettes that have been around forever, they don't keep the same palette and allow it to be purchased for a long period of time. So I went online and I looked for the ingredients of some of their past palettes and compared it to the Modern Renaissance. Now, I did find that the majority of the ingredients in their past palettes were the same as in the Modern Renaissance palette, except for really the two ingredients were very, very different. One of them is called Laurel Lysine. That is a conditioning agent made from coconut oil, was in their previous palettes, but not in this one. Another one that they have gotten rid of is an ingredient called PTFE, which is actually Teflon. It's another name for Teflon, the stuff that you use for non-stick pans that people have had negative things to say about Teflon. Careful with the Teflon in your pans, but unless you're heating up your eyeshadow to 350 degrees, they say, according to the research that I've read, that it shouldn't be a carcinogen in eyeshadow. So if you have the Self-Made palette or the Amrezy palette, those were the two I was able to find ingredients for. It is in those palettes, but it shouldn't be a big problem like they've said it's a problem in Teflon on non-stick pans. But it is kind of strange to put Teflon in eyeshadows. I thought that was kind of interesting. But again, the Modern Renaissance palette does not include that ingredient. So that may be a big difference in the formula, the omission of those two ingredients. They've also moved around the ingredients as far as the amount of the product. I'll list them both here as far as I'll put the Amrezy palette and this one next to each other so you can see how they've changed up the ingredients for this palette specifically. And I'm just going to take one of the formulas of eyeshadow in here and kind of show you the difference. I'm not going to show you all 11 different combinations, but just so you can get an idea of how they changed up this eyeshadow formula versus older Anastasia palettes. Now, a big rub that people say about the Violet Voss Holy Grail palette and Violet Voss products in general is that they are made in China. I was unable, because I threw away my box, I was unable to put my eyes on the fact that it was made in China. I believe people when they've said this, but I want to let you know that I was personally unable to find that information, but that doesn't mean that it's not true. It's not on the Violet Voss website. It's not on the packaging, at least that I could find. It just says on the back that it's distributed from Oceanside, California, but it does not say anything about made in China on here. But I'm going to, for the purposes of this video, just assume that it is made in China. This one is made in the United States and also comes out of California. Okay, so this is the thing about a lot of people say that products that are made in China cannot be cruelty-free, and for the research that I did, that is not true. If you don't know, China requires companies to test on animals in order to sell products in China, but you can manufacture products in China and not sell them and not test on animals as long as you don't sell them in that country. It seems like that is what's happening with the Violet Voss palette, that they are manufacturing it in China, but they are not selling it in China. Therefore, Violet Voss claims that it is cruelty-free. Anastasia also claims to be cruelty-free, made in the United States. So in the end, what does this all mean? I'm not going to give you all the answers in this video. I trust that you are an intelligent consumer and you'll be able to put the information that I'm giving you together in order to decide whether this product is right for you. It seems the ingredients in the Violet Voss palette can irritate some people. The talc and the parabens, things like that are here that are not here. This is made in China. This is made in the United States. If you only buy products made in the United States, or if you prefer to buy products made in the United States, you're going to go with this one. If you want a better value, you're going to go with this one. This has 4.5 times more product than this one. And as far as application goes, my personal opinion, I feel like they apply pretty much the same. I feel like if I had to choose which one applies better, I would choose the Anastasia, just because I feel like the shadows blend better together. With this product, you can get a shadow onto your eye and try to blend it with another color, and because it's so pigmented, the stain can kind of interfere with how the shadows blend together, making it a little bit more difficult to work with. This one has 14 shades, this one has 20. So I mean, there's lots of different factors that may push it one way or the other for you personally. And for me, I'm happy to have them both. I enjoy both of them. I've seen some really negative reviews on the Violet Voss Holy Grail palette. People that really don't like it say the shadows don't last. I have not had that experience. For me, they both last the same. I have worn these on both eyes a couple of times where I have one on one side, one on the other side. They fade out the same for me, and I would imagine that with this look, it would be no different. I don't feel like there's a difference in wear time here. Those are kind of the facts. Do with them what you will, and I want to thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, definitely make sure that you share it with a friend that you think will also enjoy it, and hit the like button and subscribe for more content. And mad love to you, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!